Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Daily AI News Show. Today, I have Paul and Vivek with me. We will be discussing a good number of articles, some interesting articles from the AI Street Capital and various other case studies. If you want to look at these articles, go to our websites, gainsights.com/articles. Welcome, Vivek, to the show. So let's start with the first article for today. Let me just share my screen. Okay, the first one that we have for today comes from the Air Street Press, and it's the State of AI Report 2025. So, Vivek, if you can please take us through this and also share your rating on the same.
Yeah, thank you, Ankaj. No, so this is an excellent overview of where the current state of AI is for a variety of industries. It spans technology, healthcare, finance, manufacturing, and it's a good mix of technical, market, and policy, and where AI sits. I give this an essential for an AI leader because as they continue to advocate internally for AI literacy, AI funding, articles like these are great back pocket articles to share. And there's so much information. There's over, I think, around 200 different pages of data that can be leveraged to have those discussions. And I think there's some kind of salient points that this article create makes that captures where we are in the AI journey. OpenAI, they highlight that OpenAI still leads all the benchmarks, but sort of the competitors, especially from China, are closing the gap. Quen now powers 40% of the new fine-tuned models on Hugging Face, and that's a significant impact. And it's taken over some of the US-based open source models. Reinforcement learning and test and compute and around post-training methodologies and algorithmic innovations are also increasing significantly. Model context protocol, which again is the big standard that's emerging, but there are some risks associated with it. And overall, I think we are now getting to a point where AI is making humans better. It's these they talk about AlphaZero, discovered strategies for a chess master that they incorporated into their own game, and it's not just able to beat them, but now it's able to start to teach humans. So there's a lot of interesting facts. Again, if you have the time, definitely skim at least the main page. But I would advocate for to really go deeply into the report. That's where I was at. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks for the great overview, Vivek. So, essential for Vivek. What do you think, Paul?
Paul, you're muted. Mm.
Boy, I get so frustrated when others do that. I did it myself. Sorry, everyone. I'd love to know what Ram and Ashish and Nina and others online, Brenda, think. For me, it's absolutely essential. Nathan does a great work there. He and his team here. I think one of the things that this is a really wonderful compliment to our daily show. Our daily show is like, this is what's going here. This is nice context, and it's nice to seeing the themes of what we're seeing in the daily get reflected, particularly around MCP and open source in China here. I think it's Vivian. I would send you. It's not only essential. Leaders need to take 30 minutes and go through this, and just so they understand the landscape of the major trends in industry. And this is a really good sense for that here. So it's absolutely something that's good to do down. And I encourage people to take a pad and paper and just go through anything that surprises you. Just write it down so you get some muscle memory in there. But this is a really good centering piece. So essential.
Thanks, Paul. So I was on Essential as well for similar set of reasons that Paul and Vivek mentioned. So basically, it's a good overview, or let's say what we have discussed over the last year or so. So it brings out those points really well into a well-formed compendium. So absolutely essential for an AI leader. So going essential on this one and moving on to the next one.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Ankar, before you move on, both Ram and Nina and say essential as well. So thanks for you too, and Brenda.
Thank Thanks, Nina, Brenda, and Ram. Okay, moving on to the next one. The next one comes from 11 Labs. and it is titled How We Scaled Inbound Sales with an AI SDR that qualifies 78% of leads end to end. So I have this one. So basically, what 11 Labs did was they created an AASTR. They named it John, and they gave it a persona. They gave it access to different tools that their internal SDRs were using, and they used different set of models for different variety of tasks, and they were able to get a 78% success rate with John. There were the 22%, other 22% were false positives, which they had decided in their algorithm itself. Instead of going for false negatives, where they reject a particular lead, they wanted the model to provide them false positives. So, in a way, they decreased their work a lot and were able to get more successful conversions out of the leads that they were getting. They share good amount of information here, good tiny tidbits on how the model works, what kind of things they needed to do to make it successful. So I was on important on this one. Vivek, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I was right there with you, Ankaj. I think they did a fantastic job on kind of putting together the different components of an agent together, and it is for inbound sales, right? So that's where I was not it is essential. If it did outbound as well, I would have given it an essential. But they talk about these three characteristics between behavior, capabilities, and tools, and data, and this aggregation on all three of them allows them to build this very orchestrated agent. And now we're starting to think about, we're going from the boundary between assistant and autonomous agent is shifting. I think a lot of our processes are moving towards autonomous agents, similar to the one that this talks about. And one additional point I would highly highlight, there is a little link that called the prompting guide in the earlier part of the article. I encourage folks to click through that, and it does go through a very detailed methodology on how to build prompts that are about, like, I think there's about hundreds of different lines to really drive this assistant and autonomous agent behavior. So it's yeah, would suggest to go look through that, and it's a good way to upskill your prompting method, prompting techniques. So, sorry, was I?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Vivek. And I think in addition to the current workflow that they have shown, they have also introduced a new product called Workflows, which they are suggesting will help users even develop more complex workflows with these tools. And we have also read about the OpenAI inbound sales agent last week. We had discussed that, which also gave a lot of conversions to OpenAI as well. So, Paul, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, and I was so excited to read this, and my enthusiasm went down. I mean, this is such an important area. They're so close to doing it right. This is a vendor pitch, though. At the end of the day, the article leads on contact sales, and I just wish they would have had hired us or some other third party to put a wrapper in it, because we want case studies from companies really using this, not marketing hype. So as soon as I see that, being on the vendor side, I know almost all those stats then are rounded up. They didn't go to the next level of really understanding that this. And if your workflow is so damn good, it must be pretty easy for you to go get a customer example on this here. And I think we've seen this same thing from this is one of my events 2 or 3 weeks ago on 2 or 3 other vendors here. So from that, I have it as important here. But boy, I really, particularly in the front, Vivek, when they were showing us the prompts and some real beginning of detail, I thought that was except it is. So I have important, but I do think it is something we're seeing again and again, that the AI leaders have such a hard time moving fast that they're looking to their trusted vendors as exemplars. So Deloitte, I know, is getting a lot of pressure to show us first how you're using a Deloitte, and then we'll show it ourselves here. So the vendor as sandbox and proof points before the next company has is a recurring, and all in this Missouri show me world. Don't tell me any capabilities. You show me, and then after you show me, then we'll start having discussion here. But
Yeah, I think we're moving towards that era where, show me the outcomes, and actually how much guarantees can you put in these outcomes. I think we're moving towards that, and then a lot of this whole idea about agencies is changing drastically, and I think we'll see a big shift in the next year.
Yeah.
on how
I mean,
the contracts are written.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Ram talks about a good case study. We use this model, our own model, and it works great for inbound. Yeah, for outbound is a great qualification tool. Yeah, I think we're really learning here, and I think we're really moving quickly to a place where the best AI first companies are doing 24-hour, 7-day a week sales in a very proactive way, which is very different than doing 24-hour, 7-day a week brochureware. This is what I sell. That's a sign, and this is going to be digital sales activities.
Right, Paul.
So anyway, it's
And Paul, I
important.
think
Yeah.
yes, going important on this one, Paul. And I think all the consulting companies and these AI vendors as well, they are under pressure to be customer zero themselves and showcase what they can do with these tools themselves. Okay. So moving on to the next one. Next one comes from OpenAI, and it's a case study about how high accelerates development and campaign delivery with ChatGPT business. Uh, Paul, what do you think about this one?
I thought this was a decent one. I think it's similar vein here. I think we still unfortunately don't have open AI to the level of detail that AWS is doing. So the quality of that bar in my mind has been set. That's why I'm not doing it as essential. So important. But another good. I mean, kudos at least to them showing. This is a good example. Here's a vendor, but showing a customer case study here, and that's what we want to see more of.
Okay. Vivek, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. I was also kind of between optional and important, leaning towards more important, given that this is OpenAI now flexing their muscles in this more entire stack. They're now going to against the Googles and the Microsofts, and talks about the kind of entire ops process, as well as from content development, developing the software as well. And it's talks it's really about AI as an operating model completely. So that's where I think this is again another trend to keep an eye on with OpenAI. So that was also sort of important.
Sure. Thanks, Vivek. So I was also optional important on this one, leaning towards important because of the last bit about AI emerging as an operating model. Because otherwise, the entire case study it doesn't have a single thread which binds all these case studies, all these examples together. So it's something like the Agoda example that we discussed a few weeks back, where different departments were doing different things, but they were not sort of integrated together. But I think they are building towards that, and we can showcase it as a beginner case study. So going important on this one.
Yeah, and Anka's other thing was, I think it's another example. This whole trend we're seeing about how the whole what is it, $20 trillion IT stack is going to be transformed, where you're going to have all these traditional systems of record, which will probably stay a system of record for data, and you've got this incredibly dynamic AI centric workflow, digital intelligence layer in front of that or front porch or whatnot, because the amount of innovation that's going on this is so obviously going so fast and so much better than anything that exists in your current organization right now, that your mix of kind of traditional software versus AI centric software, maybe it's point zero today to 99, it's got to move to 60/40 or something over the next 4 or 5 years if you want to be an AI first company.
Right, Paul. And Paul, I think somewhere Ethan Mollick agrees as well. He also mentioned that now he is falling behind on these AI developments that are happening on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I just one like, and I think the other thing we continue to see, two streams of thing. Is it augmentation of the humans, or is it pure workflow automation here? And at least for me, the pure workflow automation, we're still ways away from that to get confidence for all the reasons. But boy, the augmentation of every human having a superpower, everyone in your organization have a superpower is here now. There's no technology. There's no technical limitations on that right now.
I agree,
Yeah.
Paul. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one comes from Anthropic, and it is a case study about how Novo Nordisk accelerates clinical documentation and drug development with Claude. Vivek, if you can please take us through this one and give your rating for the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very close to this topic, given that in every biopharma company that I've spoken to, this is probably the first use case. It takes a long time to prepare these documents for regulatory submissions, and these are called clinical study reports. They aggregate all of the clinical trial data, aggregates into this long 300, 400 page document that then is delivered to the regulatory bodies, and the time you can save on these documents can lead to revenue gains on the back end, given even if couple months of revenue gains on a faster drug to market can have a significant impact on the bottom line, right? So this is one of the first use cases, and use case has been kind of publicized quite a bit with Novo Nordisk, with this really good claim of 90% time savings. But again, the same question I had when I read this the first time was, what does that even mean, right? Is it just first? And I think what I know is that it's just first draft creation. How much more work does it need to be involved? And it's a RAG-based solution, so we understand that there are limitations. There's provenance of data. There's very complex charts that need to be incorporated into these documents. So that information was sort of missing. I think it's a great product announcement. It's a big number. It sounds really great, but again, on any biopharma person reading this, I think this is everyone's exploring this sort of use case, and I would a little bit more detail around the actual final product, and if actually that ended up leading to a faster submission. They allude to it, but they didn't provide us any specific data. So I was like, I can be kind of coarse into an important, but I was between optional and important, leaning towards important, because it's such a significant aspect of most of biopharma, to accelerate this type of document creation. And it is what GenAI is promising, right? Take a lot of unstructured data and put it in a very structured format.
Okay. Thanks, Vivek. Paul, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously important for anyone in drug discovery, biotech world. I think optional for everyone else. So I had it as optional. I do think it remains incredibly promising, but optional for those outside life sciences.
Thanks, Paul. I was on optional as well on this one because of the reason that Vivek mentioned. So it showcases that it can do 90% of the work, but is that the first draft or is that the final draft? They don't answer that question. So optional for that reason. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one comes from A16Z, and this is titled The Trillion Dollar AI Software Development Stack. Paul, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, Andreessen Horowitz, they're doing a lot of good work. This is yet another one to kind of polish things here. They're obviously selling their book. I think from AI leader, if you've been following us, we know this is a hot space. But from AI development stack, most AI leaders, you're not getting involved in that discussion. The tech team already has a well-established culture and norm. Whoever's leading the tech team has got a certain methodology he wants or she wants to do it. If it's look at two tools and pick one, or everyone picks their own tool here. So I think from a AI leader standpoint, important at best. Maybe he or she forwards it to their dev team just to make sure they have it, but important. It does show. I mean, this is the inside of the innovation here. If we go back to earlier comments here, particularly for companies that are in our crucible and the wins, insurance companies, consulting companies here, what their software stack looks like 5 years from now. I mean, if Deloitte is going to be a viable player, McKinsey will be a viable player 5 years from now, what is their stack going to look like? And it's going to be incredibly different, I believe, than what we're seeing today.
Okay, important for Paul. Vivek, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I was right there. I think this is a thesis document, and we like to see what happens if this thesis comes to bear, which I think it will. But to Paul's point, I think it's an article definitely to share with the CIOs, CTOs. If they're not already gaining that 20% productivity on software development within their organizations, they need to read through this and leverage some of the tools mentioned in this.
Vivek,
So,
you're too kind. If they're not doing that now, they should be fired. They should be
yes, I
fired
agree.
on the spot. Let's be really clear.
Yes.
Oh, we have this really great way to do e-commerce. No, we don't do e-commerce that way. We're still doing, telephone commerce. I mean, this is not 2023.
And I think that highlights something what we were talking right before the call started. It's that what type of leader is going to be required to push the company down this path to accelerate this type of adoption, right? And most companies don't have those types of leaders yet. So yeah.
Right, Vivek. So going important on this one, and Paul, to your point around consulting companies becoming more and more tech companies. So at least I am seeing this trend in India where a lot of these strategy firms, they are posting out jobs for engineers and also people who are fluent in GenAI right now. So basically, they are trying to build out that tech stack to deliver those consulting services. And I think there's a very interesting article in Financial Times as well, where IBM leader is pushing consulting firms to become essentially tech firms first and then deliver consulting services on top of that.
I
So
mean,
fully agree with that trend.
Ankash, to that point here, I mean, I think there's going to be a bunch of firms that won't be able to do this, right? So, most firms no longer do their own payroll. They just outsource that to ADP. Here in the States, it's so complex with all the state ones and everyone moving. They just outsource that. Guess what? ADP's also got the very best tech talent going over there for payroll stuff in here. So if all the tech talent is either going to the AI startups, and that's 2% of tech talent, the next layer of 30% is going to consulting companies who are basically managed service outsource on your digital layer for all these traditional companies who can't get the management talent in there, who can't get that leadership, and aren't going to be able to actually drive this. They're going to need to buy. I know we keep talking about AI technology capability, but many firms are just going to have to buy it because they will not be able to get this done themselves here. And I'm thinking of two firms myself right now that we're talking with, and I think some of those, if they're in the crucible, they're going to die. If they're not in the crucible, they're going to have to outsource if they may make a big manufacturing operation or not. But just incredible change going on in terms of talent, digital talent automation is breathtakingly fluid and where it's going.
But what happens, Paul, when a domain expert, right, is able to adopt this technology that they can actually expedite software development, tool building? Do we really need these external vendors? We need more integrators, but do we need? And that's going to have a big impact as folks upskill themselves in Gen AI. And the tools are getting better, right? By next year, Sam Altman thinks he doesn't even understand what is going to be software development by end of 2026, given the rapid pace at which it's increasing. So yeah, brave new world.
Right, Vivek. And I think there's a interesting two sides discussion going around on talent where we are seeing a lot of talent going from one emerging GenAI lab to another lab. So there was a news yesterday where Thinking Machines co-founder is now going to Meta Superintelligence Lab, and then we are also seeing OpenAI. Their shipping velocity is just we haven't seen that anywhere in the last decade or so. So basically, the moat around talent that is difficult to comprehend right now. Is there a moat? Is there a moat around knowledge with all these labs which they are holding, or is it around the skill building, the capability that the talent is bringing in, and how fast these labs can build on top of that?
And to that point, I think
Okay.
Anthropic, to their credit, is at least appears to have a little more stickiness because they appear to have a much stronger culture there. That at least it's aspiring to be more on the safety AI front here. We'll see if that actually really does sway people from not taking a 3x salary increase. But at least the early data suggests that culture may be really one important part of talent retention.
Right, Paul. But $3.5 billion is a lot of money, Paul. That's what
Yes.
that particular guy is getting from Meta.
Yeah. 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 Intergenerational, generational wealth is irresponsible if you turn it down just because you like culture, maybe.
Correct, correct. Okay, moving on to the next and last one for today. This one comes from Anthropic and it is titled "A Small Number of Samples Can Poison LLMs of Any Size." So basically, this is new research from Anthropic, which reveals that if you inject more than 250 or around 250 malicious samples into training of any model size, it can create hidden backdoors or cause misbehavior. And the size of the model doesn't matter here. It can affect a model 13 billion in size or a 600 million parameter in size as well. So basically, model vendors or model developers, they need to keep track of these hidden backdoors and misbehavior. So I was basically optional on this one, not important for an AI leader right now, but for maybe AI vendors, this is important.
Yeah.
Vivek, what do you think about this one?
I gave it an important. This is a new vector. When I read this through, I was actually kind of scared of the variety of different models we use and which ones are doing kind of malicious activity. If they were trained in a very, they were trained with some poison data, and it doesn't take too much. So it's a new security vector, and we know that these poisoning and any type of nefarious activities scale faster than the defenders and the models that grow. So it's good to understand what is happening from an AI leader's perspective to also keep a far eye on the security aspects of the models they're choosing. Again, I think about like let's look at open source models, and now especially with tool calling, and that these models are given access to our data, our tool. It's not just back and forth Q&A. They have access to a lot of our context that we possess, and if they're able to email, my calendar, does that actually, we need to have those tests and guardrails in the testing process. So I thought it was an important news for an AI leader to understand. Yeah, that's right about that.
Okay, thanks, Vivek. Paul, your thoughts on this one?
I had as important if you're building models. I think most AI leaders aren't building models, so I moved it to optional. But I really applaud the research area. We need more research like this. I in my simple mind, the digital brain is the car engine. I don't want the AI leader to have to worry about the way to do a really good carburetor. But the people building carburetors better know well, and that to me is an analogy in here. So certainly important for the carburetor builders.
Okay, so going important on this one. We are done with all set of articles for today. Paul, any announcements? Vivek, any news from you?
Yeah, go ahead, Vivek. Then we'll do mine.
No, nothing much. No, I'm just been excited to kind of take debrief a little bit on the GAI world. It is a fantastic meeting, and I'm getting a lot of feedback on a couple articles I've written on there on LinkedIn. So please check it out. I think it's again just kudos to Paul and John to put together an incredible meeting. So
Yeah, and then to highlight, Vivek wrote a nice summary piece of Monica, the EVP CIO of Liberty Mutual, who just had excellent presentation, and Vivek had an excellent summary of that. So that's that. Her whole presentation, her panel presentation is live. Or live. It's on the recording on YouTube. If you need it, let us know. I'll show you the time spots, and we're splitting it out. In terms of announcements, several announcements. Our learning lab tonight's got two key things. One is we're going to walk through building your first GPT, and we're going to start with everyone building a GPT joke engine in 5 minutes, which is a really fun, easy way to kind of start there. We've done that Friday and others, and it's surprising to me how many people haven't yet done GPT. I think it feels a little intimidating, and I've got three I use all the time. Proofreading my documents, clickbait for a blog or email title, and analyzing a contract. So if you got repeat processes in your personal workflow, this is a really good, effective tool. Our showcase speaker is Avantic, who was one of the sponsors of the conference and really has some exciting AI case studies in the health area, and they're going to be walking through that. And then third, we've just seen an explosion in interest in these free AI classes on Copilot and ChatGPT. We tried it last week with barely any marketing. Both of them, we had to increase the number we allowed in 3 times. It's noon on Tuesday for Copilot. That's Eastern, noon on Thursday. And I'm surprised, Vivek, we're so close to this here. I'm surprised how many people that I know are in the space said, Paul, I still going to go to your one-on-one just to make sure my team understands from your team some of the basics here. So, yeah, and I think that's the first step on terms of really understanding. So if you're all in this area, investor level AI leader, I really believe you've got to know the personal productivity basics yourself. And then that helps you open up your mind and really understand where it can go from an organization standpoint.
Leaders are learners, and leaders need to continue to learn
Yeah.
right now. This
Well,
is
well stated.
Okay, thanks, Paul. So we have one essential and four important for today. So the State of AI Report 2025 from Air Street Press, that is essential, and four important and one optional. Thanks, Vivek. Thanks a lot for joining us today and sharing your insights. Thanks, Paul. Good day for now.
Take care, guys. Bye.